So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about Mylio Photos. And this is our basic agenda today, though we may veer off depending on how we do today, but we'll try to stay pretty much on track. We're going to talk about what is Mylio Photos, and we're going to show you how to create an account. We'll talk about installing Mylio Photos and setting it up correctly, adding your own photos, syncing up devices, browsing your library, and learning more about resources. So after this webinar, or after you watch this, you can actually learn more, find more videos and information. Okay, my name is Lori Rubin. I'm a product evangelist for Mylio. I've been a pro photographer for more years than I can count, and also a photo educator. Love teaching and being able to share all these exciting things that we have here in store for you with Mylio Photos. We also have the lovely Angela Andrew with us today. She is also a product evangelist for Mylio, a fine art photographer, and a seasoned photo educator. Angela, you want to say hi? You want to say anything more?
Well, just want to say hello, everybody. Glad you're with us today. I'm looking forward to helping you out. If you have questions about Mylio, Lori and I are your top two resources. And my big passion with photography outside of being behind the camera is I love creative photo editing.
I do too.
Isn't it great?
Yeah, it is great. Everything about photography is great.
It's true.
Yeah. Okay, so before we get started, just a little bit of housekeeping here. Go ahead and type in your questions and comments into the Q&A pod. That just helps us kind of keep track of what questions you have for us. We want to make sure that we get all your questions answered. There's also a chat section. You can chat in there as well, but we ask that the questions be placed in this Q&A section. Should be a button in the lower right-hand corner, I believe, that you can access, and then we'll be happy to answer your questions here. Now, if you jump in here late or you have to run, no problem. We are recording this. We'll try to post this within 24 to 48 hours. Simply go to community.mylio.com. There's a topic section and just click on webinar replays. And that's where we store all of our getting started webinars and our coffee breaks that Angela does. So you'll be able to access this plus much more. Okay, so let's talk about what is Mylio Photos. So Mylio helps photographers to access and manage a lifetime of photos and videos as well into a secure and connected library. It's an easy way to get organized, back up all your images so that your photos can be viewed on all of your devices. Also, Mylio Photos is a system that manages your memories by taking your photos and videos from any source. So example, if you have hard drives, smartphones, social media, memory cards, scan photos, and it brings it into a single library that's accessible to you on all of your devices, such as your computer, your cell phones, and your tablets. Also, Mylio will store a very large photo library onto your laptop or phone. This does this by optimizing your images. There's a very robust facial recognition that's built into Mylio Photos, which we're going to be showing you today. Text recognition, GPS, so that it can find locations for your photos. And we've got a nice map that displays where your photos were taken, if you have that information. We can also manually do that as well. So I'll show you that, camera data, and much more. You can also conveniently edit your photos from any device because Mylio has an editing program built into its program. If you prefer to use another editing program, you can do that and still work with Mylio. So that works. You can get full access to your library without the need for internet connection or cloud data feeds. And also Mylio protects your photos from device failure or loss. I don't know about you, I tend to live in a nature-prone disaster area. We could have floods, we could have fires, we could have, well, I moved from California, so no more earthquakes, hopefully. But these things happen, whether it's lost from maybe something stolen or you drop coffee all over your laptop. It's always important to back up. So we really do emphasize the importance of backing up, and Mylio helps you to do that. Okay, getting started with your Mylio account. So Mylio Photos is an application. So the app that gets installed onto your computer, your smartphone device, your laptop is the application. And then the service allows the connection so that your photos can be shared between all of your different devices. Okay, now I'm going to let Angela take over.
So once you've created an account with Mylio Photos, the account that helps your devices talk to each other in sync, Once you create that account, you'll go to that account and download the application. So that's going to download it to your computer, your Windows, your Mac computers. If you're wanting to download to a mobile device, to a phone or a tablet, you're going to want to go to either the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store to get it. Now, when you're first starting with Mylio, we do recommend at this point to start with a computer. You're going to have the best, smoothest experience. You can start from a mobile device, but we do recommend starting with a computer. So that's what we're going to show you today. So we're going to download Mylio Photos and jump in and take a look at the software. So let's talk about installing it. Once you've gone to the website, downloaded the installer file, you're going to go to your downloads folder. And if you're on Windows, you're going to find the Mylio_x64 document, or you can find the mylio.dmg. Double click on either one of those files and walk through the on-screen instructions to install the software. Once you do that, you can launch Mylio Photos, and we're going to go ahead and talk through the initial setup right now. So let me go ahead and jump over to Mylio, and we'll do this together. So this is what it looks like when you first install Mylio Photos. You're going to get a welcome screen, and you're going to be prompted to enter that username and password that you created on our website. So let me go ahead and enter that right now. Make sure I got that right. Apparently I cannot type today, so let me try this one more time. There we go. All right, so we're going to have a series of slides that kind of acquaint you with how Mylio Photos interacts with the images on your hard drives. I'm going to go ahead and click forward a couple of slides, and we're going to get to the point where we talk about the Mylio Library folder. So what is the Mylio Library folder? Simply stated, it's the location for all of your future imports. And you can choose other locations when you bring your photos in, but this becomes the default. So it's just the first place that Mylio is aware of that it watches for photos. So let's go ahead and get this set up. I'm going to go ahead and click next, and we're going to choose where we want our Mylio Library folder to exist. So for most people, you're going to want to create a brand new folder. And this is going to give you a fresh start, a place to start bringing in all of your images and getting everything organized. You can also choose an existing folder if you already have all of your media organized. But for most people, I would suggest creating a new folder. If you do choose an existing folder with images, which is not a problem, just know that if that folder has a lot of subfolders and a lot of images, it can take a little while for Mylio to import and ingest all of that information. You'll be able to get in and having fun with your photos more quickly if you choose a new folder. So that's what we're going to do today. All right, so let's go here and create a new folder. And I'm going to go ahead and click next. And we're going to choose the location for this folder. So that's another great question. Where do we put this folder? Well, we recommend that you put the folder, your Mylio Library folder, in a location that has a lot of available storage. For most people, that's going to be an external hard drive or a computer with a lot of storage space. A desktop computer typically has more storage space than a laptop. However, some people might have really large hard drives in their laptop. The bottom line is you want to have room to grow. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and choose an external hard drive that I bought specifically to get my photos organized with Mylio. I'm going to go ahead and choose change the location and select the location where I want this to go. So I'm going to go ahead and go down to my new hard drive and create a new folder on this drive. And I'm going to call it Mylio, but you can call your folder whatever you like, and choose create, and then click open. And now we see that Mylio wants to put our Mylio Library folder under volumes, new hard drive Mylio. That looks pretty good. So now we're going to let Mylio finish setting up, and great. We are now installed and ready to go start using Mylio Photos. The first thing you're going to have here once you're in is, do you want to install the sample library? Now, Lori's going to tell us more about the sample library, and you can do this at any point. I'm going to go ahead and click yes to install it here. But if you decide to skip this step and you want to play with the sample library later, you always can. And Lori's going to tell you more about that.
Okay, great. Thank you, Angela.
You're welcome.
I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay. All right. I get the fun part. I get to show you guys how to install sample libraries and how to install your own images. But we're going to start with the sample library. And this is really a great place to start. If you've just started using Mylio, or even if you've used it a little bit, this is a great way to see an example of a library that has different types of photography, different dates, different locations, different people. So you can do face tagging examples. So it really gives you that ability to really play with it, and don't be afraid to, do things to it, because you're not going to ruin it. The nice thing is you can easily install it and uninstall it. And it's really quick, by the way. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that. So here we are. I've installed the sample library already. And what we're going to focus on right now is along the top of your screen here, you can see that we can view our photos, all the photos that we downloaded here from the sample library. There's also a calendar. We'll take a closer look at that. There's a map. So if let's say your phone or your camera has GPS capabilities, you can go ahead and view your photos actually on the map, or we can manually do that, which I'll show you how to do that. We have people tagging for faces and for batch tagging to make it quicker. And we'll take a look at albums. We'll actually create a sample album. We'll take a look at folders, and then we'll take a look at the dashboard. So let's go ahead. We're starting up here. This is our all photos view. You can see this little grid, and you could scroll through. We've got quite a few photos in here. In fact, if you want to see how many, there's this little tab. You can just click on it. There are 637 photos in this particular all photos view. And along the top of each of these little photos, at least most of them, are these little icons. So for instance, this shows the location. We've got things that might have a label. See that there's a little label. You can flag them, you can rate them. So this is just a little key to show that there's more information tagged to these particular photos. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to go into the calendar view, which is one of the best parts of Mylio, I think. It's just fabulous because you can look at your life in pictures. It starts out with decades. So you can see the 1920s, 1910s, and all the years that the photos have been taken. And you can actually scroll all the way towards the top. Here's some scanned images that were taken quite a while ago. Here's one from 1930, 1906. And then the upper left-hand corner, these are undated. So it'll collect some of the undated photos. You can go back in there and put the date in there so that it will fall into place into your nice little calendar here. So what we're going to do, let's take a look a little bit deeper in here. Let's go to April 2012. So here it looks like this is a trip, 2012. Go into the April month. You can see these are individual photos that were taken on different days of the month. And let's look at the 18th. So here it looks like JC was on a nice little vacation, did some underwater photography, got to see some friends. So this is the way that he puts together some of his calendars, and we'll go a little bit deeper into this as well. So that is called the life calendar within Mylio. The next thing we want to take a look at is the map. And this map view is really pretty fascinating. You can go ahead and click on the minus, which zooms out, or you can zoom back in. And you also have this capability of just kind of sliding in and out. Clicking and dragging will take you around the world. And as you can see, we've got quite a few photos that were taken. And we're just going to jump into one of these batches here. It looks like, again, JC's photos were taken here. And if you wanted to see more information on a particular photo, I could just go over here, expand this section over here. And if you scroll down, there's a tiny little map here that shows the location and also the GPS data. So again, that little annotation says, hey, we know where this was taken. We're going to show this on your map. Now let's go back to all photos for a moment. We're going to look for a particular photo. It doesn't have any kind of tags on it at all. So these pelicans right here are just kind of flying along. I don't see any kind of relation to a map, GPS data. There's nothing there. So we're going to actually do it ourselves. We're going to manually add these pelicans. So over here on the right, you can see there's info, map, edit, and sync. I'm going to click on map. And this is a little mini map. A couple of ways I can do this. I can click and drag a photo or a number of photos into a location on the map, or what I think is even better is I can actually type in the areas. Some examples of Santa Cruz that you can select from. There we go. So this is Santa Cruz County, California. I'll go ahead and select that, and you can see here's our map. We can zoom in or just go ahead and leave it as is. I'm going to click and drag this and place it right on Santa Cruz. Here, we'll go a little bit closer. Let's say it's right at the tip there. If you like that location, go ahead and click on the little green check mark, and there it is. And if we go back to our calendar, I'm sorry, our map view, we can see here's our pelicans, and you can zoom in to get even a closer look if you want to. This is a really handy feature, this little annotation here. If you click on it, this is the Photo Explorer. This allows you to explore the location on the map, or you can explore the location on the web. So if I click on Explore Location on Map, I can go ahead and zoom out a bit, see where I'm at. I'm in the water. And I can, click and drag this around, but you can see, you can really get into the details of this map if you want to get a little bit closer. Okay, so that's a general overview of the map feature, which I think is a really fun thing to do. We're going to jump over to people. And this is really a powerful feature within Mylio. Mylio has a sophisticated way of tagging and recognizing faces within your photo library. And the more tagging that you do to these faces, the more Mylio will recognize these faces. It actually gets smarter. So you can see here, there's some images of animals included, lots of faces that are here. We'll go into the unlisted. And we'll go back under here. This is the more menus section, so you can get a little bit more information. If I click on zoom to face, what it'll do is it'll show me where Mylio is looking at the particular faces. It actually zooms in. So at this point, I can go ahead and I can click over here and notice that there's little question marks under each of these faces. And that's because Mylio is asking, okay, who is this? So we'll start with, this is a Carol, I believe, over here on the left-hand side. And I can just start typing in her name. And she shows up right here. So I'll go ahead and click on Carol and she goes away. This, I think, is Colleen. And there she is there. I know this is Michael, but let's suppose I don't know who this young man is. I'll click on question mark. I can either ignore him if I want to, or I can add his name. And let's just say his name is Ben, for instance. I'll click on Ben. I think I've done that once before, so that name came up. So let's try here, Matthew Jordan Smith. We'll just pretend that he is, I don't know, we'll say Paul. I'm trying to get a new name up here. As I click on Paul, if it is a new person, it'll ask for the first and the last name. And you can opt not to put in the last name if you don't want to, and just simply click on create. And now we have a new name called Paul in there. Now you can do this one by one. That's great. It might take a while though. So what we would suggest is doing batch tagging. And that's this little icon here. Looks like two people. And if you click on that, Mylio will gather together images of similar faces, and you can quicker, go through your images and either select, reject, or skip. So in this case, we've got pictures. And is this Michael or is this someone else, Angela? Do you know who?
That is actually Michael.
That is Michael. Okay, yep. I was calling him Ben.
So, for the sake of demonstration, right. That was actually pretty good.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll pretend he's Ben. Okay. So I already got him in there. And over here on the right-hand side, you can see it says approve, reject, ignore, or you can skip. So in this case, these look like Ben to me. So I'm going to click approve. I know that this is Colleen. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this area here. And if you notice, there's a numerical numbers here, 1 through 4. These correspond to the keys on your keyboard. So if you want to quickly just press the number 1 on your keyboard for Colleen, that's a quick shortcut to do that. And you can keep going through these different images, and you can pull out people that you don't know, or if you know that that's truly, this group of people, like I know this is Rich. Again, just click here. And if he doesn't pop up, I'll just go ahead and type in Rich. There we go. And that's as fast and as quick as that. So a really neat feature within Mylio to be able to organize your people. Okay. Next, let's go into, we're going to skip over to folders for a moment. And then I'm going to show you what albums are. We'll compare the two. Now, folders represent folders that are similar, actually replicate what's on your hard drive, for instance. So in this case, I've got folders on my hard drive that represent scans, organized by year, trips, and miscellaneous. And if you look on the upper left-hand corner, take a quick look, there's 35 scanned images in this particular folder. And if I double click here, you can see all the images there. If I go back, you can also have nested folders. So for instance, under this organized by year, I know JC did this, he's very organized. Double click on here and you can see all the different years that he's got. Now, here's the thing, folks, you don't have to be organized before you start using Mylio. Mylio will actually help you to get organized. So you don't have to procrastinate or wait and think, oh, I've got to get all my folders looking like this. No, that's not the case. Just jump on in, play around with the sample folder images and get comfortable with that. And then you can start bringing in your own images and get those organized. So you can see that these are subfolders within there. So folders, like I said, represent what's on your hard drive. Now, if we look at albums for a moment, albums are like your virtual playlist. In other words, it doesn't actually drag and duplicate photos into these albums. It actually points to them. So it keeps the file sizes down because you have one image. And it's really nice because you can organize them. Like here, for instance, we've got landscapes. So we've got an album full of landscapes, which is really nice. We also have a folder of birds, and these have nested sub-albums here. So we can define, here's a group of eagles, for instance. We can look at pelicans, flightless cormorants. So that's a really nice way to organize your albums. Now, let's suppose that I want to go ahead and create a new album. I'm going to go in here. Let's go into this action palette on the bottom right-hand corner and just click on New Album. And we're going to call this Hummingbirds. And we'll click on Create. So now we should have a Hummingbirds album within this structure here. We're going to go ahead and open up our list of birds that we have here. We've got 2 hummingbirds. And what I can do is I can either right-click, I can move it into an album, or this is a really nice way of kind of moving your images around very easily into a clipboard. You're not actually moving them, but you're kind of putting them in a placeholder. So I just clicked and dragged them into the clipboard, which is down below all my images here. I'm going to go back up into albums, double click in birds. Here's my hummingbird folder or album. And I'll click and drag those in there. Let's expand this out. There we go. And now if we go back, we'll have a sub-album that has my hummingbirds in it. So I hope you can see there's a real nice way to organize your images using albums. You can also tag and rate. So I'll show you that in just a moment as well. Okay, last thing along the top here is the dashboard. The dashboard is kind of like your hub, and it shows you where your devices are, how many devices you have. You can look at library stats, which includes, how many people are tagged, file types, to the type of cameras that were used. So these can also be helpful if you wanted to know, oh, you know what, I think I took that picture with my Nikon D70S. It was a while ago. You can see that there were 43 that were taken with that particular camera, keywords, etc. So what we're going to do here, let's take a quick look at devices. For example, I've got my MacBook Pro that I'm on right now. It's got 637 images there. And you can see my other devices. I've got a couple mobile devices that are not currently turned on yet. They're grayed out. But I'm going to turn on my iPhone in just a moment. You'll see how that syncs up. We also have drives and clouds. So I've got a Google Drive, and I also have a separate external hard drive, a little SSD drive that I've got attached, and then 2 vaults. Now these vaults actually hold my originals, and we do suggest that 3-2-1 backup plan, which means 3 devices or 3 places where you store your images. 2 devices, which could be, for instance, 2 external hard drives, and then 1 off-site, either a hard drive, or if you want to use the cloud, you can use that. So the more the merrier. You want to make sure you back up those photos. Okay, so let's see here. So the next thing we want to do is check out a couple things here before we actually add our own photos. Under the settings menu, if you click on settings, this is where you can kind of customize your account, maybe the appearance of your life calendar, etc. So you might want to just browse around in this settings section and see if you want to change anything. Me personally, I think Mylio has set up everything to look really nice, so I haven't had to change much in here. And then the next thing, let's go and look at the quick action menu. Let's go to all photos for a second. And you'll see along the top here, there's some little icons. And this is just a quick way of getting to, for instance, flagging, rating, or labeling your images. You can do that from here. This little icon here allows you to share, for instance, or save to your clipboard. This is to Flickr, for instance, or you can export, print, or you can set as a desktop photo. Over here is our face tagging or batch tagging. You can undo things from here if you edited something, and then you can throw things away or trash photos here. Okay, I'm going to switch back over to my slide presentation here. And let's see here, make sure we didn't miss anything. So we've explored the different views along the top of the screen. We looked at all of our photos. We checked out the calendar. We actually made a Pelican photo, placed into Santa Cruz there. You can see where all your images are around the world. We did some face tagging and actually batch tagging, and we took a look at albums. The other thing is we took a look at the folders, the dashboard, with the more settings menu. And we'll take a look, actually, I think at the end, I'll talk more about the help menu. And then there's a quick actions menu along the top that we just took a look at as well. Okay, now I'm going to switch over. We're going to talk about adding photos. So now this will be fun. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually delete the sample library. I'll show you how quickly this can happen. What I want to do is bring in my photos, but I don't want to kind of mix them in with a sample library. So if you click on that little question box, the question mark at the top of your screen, there's the help menu. And just really quickly, this help menu is really wonderful because it includes the really intensive manual that Angela created, which she did a great job on. There's a community, which is fantastic, where you can actually share images, ask questions, find lots of videos, lots of resources there. And if you have any troubleshooting needs or need to contact Mylio support, it is there. So that is under the help menu. But we also have removed sample library. So if you click on the sample library, it'll ask you, you sure you want to remove it? No problem, because you can reinstall it really simply. So we'll go ahead and just remove the sample library. Now, as that's being removed, you can see over here on the right-hand side, this is a little activity or panel here, and it's showing that it's removing the sample library. And also under devices, it's so quick that it's already done. So it's actually working. If you ever have any questions about what is happening, like that up arrow, down arrow, what's the checkbox mean, you can just click on that little question mark. And right now what's happening is it's actually sending some information to my other devices here.
Lori, can I pop in with something real quick?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So when you go to add or remove the sample library, you can add your own photos while the sample library is still there, and you can remove the sample library later. Just for your own enjoyment, it's sometimes fun to get rid of the sample library before you bring in your own images, but you don't have to. It's not going to hurt anything if you forget to do that step. You can always remove it later and even add it back in, take it away as many times as you want. Just wanted to throw that in there so you don't feel like you messed up if you skip that step.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Thank you for that.
No problem.
Okay, I'm going back to all photos, and there's a couple of places where you can add your own media. So here you can click on add your media, or in the upper right hand corner, there's a little plus. Click on that, and it'll ask you, okay, so where do you want to grab your media from? You can grab it from maybe a hard drive that's connected to your device, or SD card, for instance. You can add media from an online service such as Facebook, Instagram, Google Photos, or Flickr. Or you can also add media from photos for macOS, iPhoto, or Aperture. So in this case, I've got my Crucial SSD drive attached, and I'm going to go ahead and add my photos from there. So I'll just go ahead and click on this. And here's my Crucial device. You can see I've got different folders in here, and I'm going to add my pets. And I'll just go ahead and click on that folder. I'll click on Open. And I have the ability to link them, which means I'll leave them all on the Crucial device. It'll stay there. Mylio is just pointing to it. I can copy them, which means it'll copy from that drive into my Mylio folder, or I can move them, which means it takes it off of that particular drive and moves them into the folder in Mylio Photos. In this case, I'll just go ahead and link them. So I'll click on that. You can see this is the source. It's in my Crucial drive, my pets, one folder, 130 files and this file size. I'll go ahead and click on linked now. And again, you can see activity happening. And these photos, I mean, it just amazes me, Angela. Every time I do this, it's like, wow, that's fast. I mean, it really is fast. So
Yep.
it's amazing. So anyway, these are some of the pets that have been in my life, dogs, horses, etc. And so what we could do is we can do the same thing with these photos that we did with the sample library. I mean, I can create albums. I can go in and rate them and flag them and tag them. I can organize them however I want. But as you can see, it was really quick to bring them in, which is really nice. Okay, so I think what I can do here is, this is it for the photos. I mean, I don't think I really geotag much as far as that, but you can see these populated into the calendar. Here's a pet. I just threw that in there. It's a stuffed animal. I don't think there's a lot that I actually did, but I can go in and manually, tag these. So here was Calvin when we worked at, when I worked at Google. So I was up in the Bay Area, took some photos from there. I can create albums, and of course, those are the folders. Anything else you think I should show with all photos? I think that's it.
Well, let's
just showing how easy it
let's
is.
go to the folders view, double click on folders. So with any of these views, if you double click on that header, it's going to take you back to the top level. And this is what it looks like when you link a folder. You can see if you go back one level, so if you hit the back arrow, we've got that crucial drive and then that folder that Lori added from that drive. So that's what that's going to look like. If she had chosen to copy or move, then they would have been copied or moved into her Mylio library folder, which is the folder at the top.
Right, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Another thing that's really cool is this Flutter capability. It's called Flutter, where you can just kind of swipe left or right, and it gives you kind of a sneak peek of what's inside of your folder. You can change the cover as well. So you see that little pin. So if I wanted a little Calvin, I could just, pin it, and that would be my cover photo. So that's something else that's pretty cool. Right. Well, let me go back to my slide presentation here. I think we're getting kind of close to the end. There we go. Okay. So we added photos. Again, I had the capability of taking my photos, linking them, copying them, or moving them over. And also you can install Mylio Photos on your smartphone or let's say your tablet, and just download the app from the Apple App Store or Google Play Store, depending whether you have an Apple device or an Android device. You'll need to log into your Mylio account with your email and password, and then you'll want to grant access to your camera roll or media library. You can also download and backup photos from an online service. So for instance, Facebook, Instagram, Flickr, and Google Photos. I downloaded a bunch of images from Instagram the other day and was really pleasantly surprised to find a few photos that I totally forgot that I took. So it's always a nice surprise, but we encourage you to back up those photos. Now, as far as adding devices, there are different device viewing devices. So what we were showing you here is on a computer, but you can also view your photos on a tablet or a smartphone, which makes it really nice. For instance, we'll be traveling shortly, and I don't have to take my Mac with me to show all my photos. I can actually show it on my smartphone or tablet. It's with me at all times. Different storage devices, for instance, external hard drives that I have here. There's NAS, which is the networking attached servers. And actually, there's a whole section I think Angela just put into our manual that shows how to install the NAS. And then also a desktop computer with large hard drives. So there's different storage devices as well. And we encourage you, I mean, Mylio can work with Windows, Mac OS, Androids, and iOS devices. So if you've got different platforms that you want to put Mylio Photos on, we encourage you to do that. The more, the merrier. But it's really nice to have that ability to be able to share across different platforms here. Okay, let's talk about resources, education, and support. If you want to scan this right here, it'll take you to the community section that has all these links that you're seeing here on the screen. There's an in-app help menu that's available for resources. There's a product manual that I said that Angela had put together. She did such a great job. And I've been really looking at that a lot lately. So it's great information in there. Quick start guide. We've got our Mylio Photos community. Really encourage you guys to join us there. It's a fun community with people who love taking photos and sharing memories. And so you'll find lots of videos. You'll find the fundamentals course, which will take you through a Mylio top to bottom. So you have a really good overview of what the program can do. And we have a really great support department here as well. So you can check out our support forum. We've got FAQs. And if you need to contact support specifically, you can go ahead and click on that link there, and it'll take you to a form that you can fill out, and then we'll get to our support team. Okay.
You can also get to our support team directly from the in-app help menu. So there was one question earlier about resetting Mylio, taking it back to ground zero and starting over.
Okay.
And in most cases, we found people don't actually need to do that. We can usually get you back on the right track, but support can help walk you through that. And if a reset is necessary, they can help you with that too. So I know when I first started with Mylio, I thought maybe I had messed things up and they got me fixed too. So that's something to know, that our support team is just, they're awesome, and they can fix anything.
Yeah, they can. They're great. Okay, so do we have any other questions?
Yeah, it looks like we have a question from Alan. He says, how can I tell if a photo in Mylio is the only location of a photo? I don't want to delete a photo if I accidentally moved an original Mylio instead of just copying it. So when you add photos to Mylio, if you choose the move option, that's going to move those photos into your Mylio library folder. And that's going to delete them from the original location where they were at, physically pick them up and move them to the new location in your Mylio library folder. So there shouldn't be anything left in that old location and anything left there should already be in your Mylio library folder. If you do a copy, let's say instead of choosing move, you choose copy, that's going to leave all of the images in their original location, copy them, and put a copy in your Mylio library folder. When that happens, Mylio watches only your Mylio library folder. It keeps track of all of those images. It does not watch or keep track of that original folder. It looks at that folder that one time to pull everything in and then stops watching it. So in order to find out if all of those images are in Mylio, what you can do is add that folder again. Inside the import dialog, there is an option to exclude suspected duplicates. So if that image already exists in Mylio, Mylio will not import it again. So that's going to be your best way to figure out if an image that's not in Mylio is a duplicate or if it's something separate. Another thing to note is if you do delete photos inside of Mylio, so if you're in the application and you delete a picture inside of Mylio, that does delete it from your hard drive. So it deletes it from Mylio on all of your devices and in all of those folders that Mylio is backing up to. So if you have a vault set up, it also deletes it from your vault. So if you happen to do that, what happens is Mylio will warn you and say, hey, this is a permanent action that cannot be undone. If you go ahead and go past that point, it moves that image to your system trash, so your trash can, your recycle bin. From there, you can always choose to put it back from your system. If, however, you happen to empty the trash, that picture is now gone, your only recourse to get that image back is going to be through some other third-party backup. Let's say if you're on Mac and you have Time Machine, or maybe you use Backblaze for cloud backup. There's other applications that you can use for system backup that you can get those back. But once it's in the trash can and you empty the trash, Mylio no longer can access it. So that's just something to be aware of. All right. So that one's done. Let's see Alan also asked how to look at a particular photo in Mylio and see where the original is. That's a great question. So Lori, let me go ahead and share my screen really quick. Sure. All right. So you guys can see my screen here in Mylio?
Yes.
Awesome. So I am at where I was just adding the sample library. So I don't have any of my own images in here yet. Let me add a few, and then I'll show you exactly how to find where your originals reside. So I'm going to go up here to the plus button, add media accessible from this device. And I have a folder of images here on another external drive, much like Lori did, that I'm going to go ahead and add those to Mylio. And I want to add them as a link. So we'll go ahead and just do that really quick. So let me jump over here to all photos. Actually, rather, I'm going to go to folders view, and we're going to see that linked folder show up here in just a moment. Right now, it's still thinking and syncing. So let me take a look here at my sync folder, the sync panel. There we go. I just saw something happen. There we go. So let's go ahead and go into this folder. And as it's building these previews, it's going to take a moment. But what I can do is right click on any image. There we go. Come on. And I can say reveal in external. And what that's going to do is it's going to show me exactly on my external hard drive in Finder or Windows Explorer where that original exists. The other thing you can do is in the info panel on the right-hand side, if you scroll down, you can see the import source. So you can see which hard drive it came from, the date that you imported it, and the folder that it was in. So this is going to be where it came from and then where it is now. Again, you just right click on that and you can choose reveal in external. If it's located on your internal drive, it'll also say reveal in Finder or reveal in Explorer. But in this case, the only original is on an external drive, and that's why it just says external. All right. Go ahead and take a look here at the other Q&A.
Yeah, and chat. Looks like Sal has a question.
Cool. Let's see what we've got here. Pull that on the screen so I can properly read it. Is it possible to sort folders in folder view? Even if I add folders sequentially, Mylio still takes up and puts them love to be able to order photo. Okay. So when you're in the folders view, all of your Mylio library folders are going to be at the top, and then you'll have shared content, which in this case is a sample library, and then any linked folders. If you want to view those, let's say I had some subfolders in here. Let me go ahead and just actually, let's do it with the sample library because they are already, let's see, organized by year. So these folders here, organized by year, they're in here sequentially. What you can do is go up to the More menu, and you have this option here, Sort By, and you can sort by name, date created, ascending, or descending. How they pop up in that top level view up here is going to be by category of what type of folder they are. But within subfolders, you can sort those. So I think even here you can sort to some extent. So you can sort by name or date created, ascending, descending. So I hope that helps, Sal. All right. And in linked folders, yeah, it'll be the same thing. So if I can go into my linked folders, if I had subfolders in this folder, I could then order those with that same sort by. There is not an option at this time to do a manual sort. Ascending, descending, and then by name and by date are the only options. All right.
Okay. One more question from Sal in the chat.
In the top level, if you have 2000, 2001, 2002, Mylio sets the order randomly. That's interesting. You should be able to here in the top level, again, choose sort by and choose it that way. If that's not working, then I encourage you to reach out to our support team because then something's not working the way it's supposed to. So I apologize for that, but they can definitely take a look at that. And if needed, get our engineering team involved.
Right.
All right.
Any other questions?
I don't see anything else popping up.
All right.
All right.
Well, we want to thank you for joining us today, Angela. Thank you so much for your help and for your wisdom. Appreciate it. We hope that you enjoyed this, and we hope that you enjoy Mylio Photos. Like I said, don't wait to get organized. Just go ahead and start playing with your photos. This is the time to do it while you're thinking about it and getting inspired. We're here to help, and there's lots of resources for you. So enjoy, and we hope to see you again on one of our coffee break webinars or another Getting Started. We'd love to see you again. So thank you so much for joining us today. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.